Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. As you can tell by the title of today's video, I'm going to be reading romances for 24 hours. So I have an entire stack of contemporary romances that I got from my library that I'm so excited to read. You are going to be seeing this after Valentine's Day. I'm in such a Valentine's Day mood. I just came off of reading a bunch of books, looking for a 5-star, and I just want to read some fun, light romances that will make me giggle and laugh and kick my feet. I am not going to be reading for 24 hours straight. I'm sure if you watch videos like this, you'll know the method that I am going to do. I am going to use the stopwatch on my phone, and every time I read, I am going to start it, and anytime I stop reading, I'm going to stop it until we reach the 24-hour mark. And we're gonna see how many of these romances I can get to. We're probably going to start with Happy Place and go from there. So let's jump right in.
You lay easy on my mind, like a candle I just burn away. All we really have is time. All we really have is time.
So we are an hour and 29 seconds in, and I am on page 102. So this is about Harriet and Wen, and in the beginning of the book, they are meeting their friends at a vacation spot that their group of friends takes every year. We are also getting flashbacks to when they met and like the history of their relationship, or I'm assuming we're gonna lead up to their eventual like breakup. So they were engaged, they were together 10 years, and then Wen had to move to Montana from their house in like San Francisco or something, California, to take care of his mom, and he broke up with her through a phone call. So far, they have decided to not tell their friends that they're broken up because their friends are planning on getting married that weekend. Their friend that's family owns the place is selling it. So like it's their last vacation there, so they don't want to ruin the wedding and their like last hurrah by telling them that they're not together anymore. So they're just pretending, and they're sharing a room, and they're pretending like they're still together, which involves like touching each other and stuff like that. And then we're also, of course, getting our flashbacks. And Emily Henry is so good at writing witty, tension-filled conversations between her hero and her heroines. There's always such an intense chemistry between her couple, and it's just amazing to read about. Even in the books that I didn't like, the banter and the conversation was the best part. I love A Second Chance. I love all of the tropes and things that are involved in this. I'm so excited to read about their history and their tension. It's just amazing. So I'm really liking it so far. It's giving me like butterflies, and I've already giggled, and yeah, just her dialogue is the best part, 100%. And I fully understand people that fall in love with her stories just from that alone. So yeah, I'm really liking it. I'm flying through it. I feel like I just started reading it and I'm already 100 pages in. It's only like 350 pages, so yeah, so far so good.
Take it with anybody but you.
So we are at 3 hours and 32 minutes into this 24-hour readathon, and I have finished Happy Place. And it's wild to me that I did my previous video saying that I hadn't had a bunch of 5 stars, hadn't found a book that I really loved in a while, and then I have 2 back-to-back 5 stars in as many days. I think that's amazing. I love reading. I think this book captures exactly what people like about Emily Henry, why people connect to her story so much and love her characters and her romances so much. It's definitely partly because of what I mentioned previously about her writing dialogue between her hero and heroines very well. But the other portion of it is she takes characters that feel very real, have very realistic responses and issues, and writes about them. Like, all of her characters feel like real people. If someone were to ask me the literary equivalent of what it's like to be in my head, I would give them this book and say Harriet, because Harriet is me. Like, she is me. She is exactly how I think. It's just incredible. I teared up at this. I loved the romance. Emily Henry uses miscommunication in pretty much every single one of her stories, but the difference between typical miscommunication and the way that Emily Henry does it is she actually uses miscommunication in a very real and grounded way. The way that miscommunication actually shows up in real relationships. The way that attachment wounds show themselves in real relationships when you have two people coming from different backgrounds with their different issues showing up for each other, and what their relationship looks like, and how those little traumas and little wounds that we have from childhood and from our own experiences show up in relationships. And that's what makes her story so special. I would have made similar decisions, even if they're annoying to someone who just wants people to communicate. They're realistic. And Beach Read felt very similar to how I felt about Book Lovers. We weren't dealing as much with really complex emotions in the relationship. We sort of had this very bog standard, they didn't really like each other and now they're spending time with each other. Whereas in People We Meet on Vacation and this book, we're dealing with these very complicated emotions of two people just trying to have a relationship and show up for each other in the best way that they know how based on what they've been taught. Extremely happy that I decided to pick this up. It's going to be a new favorite romance, and their relationship is beautiful. It's beautiful in a very simple and realistic way. We don't always want realistic and real relationships. We want those butterflies. We want those grand, sweeping dialogues or monologues about how they feel about each other, but sometimes it's just beautiful to see what feels like real love. And seeing yourself in the characters and seeing maybe your relationship or your love or yourself in characters is just a really beautiful thing. So, very happy that I gave Emily Henry a second chance, despite this, first of all, not really being a super happy and bubbly story. Emily Henry does write happy stories, but they always have these underlying storylines that are a little bit heart-wrenching or emotional, not always just happy beach reads. I wouldn't say she's an all-time favorite, but she very much impresses me. So despite me being very, very happy with Happy Place and very happy that I read it, I do want something light and fun, so I think I'm going to start In It to Win It. It sounds very cute, and hopefully it'll give me those fluttery, happy feelings that I was looking for, and be a good little read.
I don't wanna waste it on anybody. Take it with anybody but you.
We are 4 hours in, a little bit, and I'm actually going to go on to the next book because I did read a review that said this is surprise pregnancy, which is a trope that I never ever like. It's one that I like actually actively avoid. It doesn't say anywhere that she gets pregnant, and neither of them want kids, which is no. I am moving on to Girl Gone Viral. I really liked the first one in this series. I'm excited to get into this one. I've heard good things, so let's see how I feel.
What was it they used to say?
I completely forgot that the hero in this book is her bodyguard, and I'm so excited. I love the bodyguard
There's
trope.
nothing in you that is fading.
Okay, so I am almost 100 pages into Girl Gone Viral. We are at almost 5 hours, and I'm really liking this so far. It is a bodyguard romance. Love that. It follows Katrina, and she was once a model. She has kind of a rocky relationship with her family, with her father specifically. That seems to be the source of a lot of her traumas. It seems to do with modeling a little bit. She has a husband that passed away and left her a great deal of money, so she no longer has to work, and she's kind of become a recluse a little bit. And the hero, Jazz, is her bodyguard. He worked for her husband's company. She took over the company and kept him on. Due to whatever she went through in her past, she has become really reclusive and she doesn't really go out much. She's in therapy, but she doesn't have that much interaction with other people, and we don't really know like what happened. We don't know a lot of what happened. Jazz is a ex-military guy, very rigid, very non-emotional, and he has a little bit of a thing for Katrina. He's had a thing for her for a while. Katrina also has a little thing for him. Neither of them have really acted on it or said anything. They're not like super personal with each other, but at the start of this, she's at a cafe. A guy sits down with her, sparks up a conversation, ends up asking her out. She says no. The next day, someone posts a thread on Twitter that goes viral, and so her face kind of becomes recognizable, even though in the picture she's wearing the hat, and like if you didn't know who she was, you wouldn't be able to pinpoint her. But she was kidnapped in the past, and she has this trauma that we don't really know a whole lot about. So she is very scared of the repercussions of her face being so well known on the internet again. Jazz, who has a family farm that his grandfather lives on, it's like hundreds of acres of land in California, offers to take her there to a cabin that he owns, like that's secluded away from people, that is it'll be just them to wait it out. And the part that I left off at, that's where they're going. I'm really liking it so far. I know this doesn't have the best reviews. I went in not really knowing what was going on, but I'm very aware of how slow stories can be when you have stories set up like this, where it's like they're getting away from people, they're hiding away somewhere for whatever reason. It can be slow, pretty slow paced, so I feel like I'm going in with the right expectations. I love a bodyguard romance. I love really protective heroes. Another complaint that I saw was a lot of the storyline with like Jazz's family and all that overshadows the romance. We'll see how that goes down, but I'm really liking it so far. I'm really flying through it.
Take it with anybody but you. I don't wanna waste it on anybody. Make it with.
Hi friends, it is a new day. We are 7 hours into this little readathon, and I ended up finishing Girl Gone Viral. I ended up giving this 4 stars. I really liked it. I think the romance is really cute, and again, conversations around the way people show up in relationships. I didn't think it was the perfect romance just because it was missing that like 5-star feeling, and it did start to drag a little bit. But overall, I thought it was really cute. I liked it more than I liked the first one. Very happy with this. I will say I am missing probably about 30 minutes off my timer because we had a thing with one of the cats last night, and I was reading while I was doing it, but I didn't have the timer because I wasn't thinking about that. I was just reading to pass the time while I was doing the thing, but I'm probably just gonna read like 30 minutes less. We'll see what happens. Now I think I am going to read Love on the Brain. I know that Ali Hazelwood's writing is very quick, so I'm excited. And none of the stories that we've gotten so far are like super fun and giggly. Both of them have been pretty emotional. Definitely Happy Place more so than Girl Gone Viral. Girl Gone Viral deals with some heavy topics, mental health, PTSD, stuff like that, but the writing is more fun than Happy Place. So they were both quite emotional. So I'm hoping that Love on the Brain is gonna give me the giggly feelings that I'm looking for.
We find ourselves starting from scratch, brick by brick. No path carved out for us now. The brush is thick. All I'm asking now, don't give up on love. Don't give up.
I believe we were at 10 hours and 30-ish minutes when I finished Love on the Brain. When I first finished this, I decided to give it a 3-star, and I sat on it a little bit and decided to give it a 2-star. There wasn't really a whole lot that I enjoyed about this story. It is about Bee, who is a neuroscientist, and she is working with Levi, who is a guy that had, like, her arch nemesis. They had some bad interactions with each other in grad school, and they're working together on a NASA project. She talks about Marie Curie a lot. I think there's a mention like on almost every single page. There's a lot of science in this one. If you are not into science, if you don't care about science, there's a majority of that versus the actual romance itself. Bee was just a little bit too naive and intentionally obtuse, in my opinion. That kind of tainted every interaction that they had, every cute moment that they had, and I just wasn't a big fan. A miss, for sure. I'm still gonna try out Love Theoretically because I know that this isn't everybody's favorite. A lot of people had an issue with this one, and a lot of people really, really love Love Theoretically, so I'm definitely gonna still try that out. My wait on it is like 12 weeks from my library, so it's not gonna be anytime soon. But so then I read for another hour and a half. And I started and got 90 pages into Secretly Yours. Again, not one that I've heard fantastic reviews on, but this is basically about Hallie and Julian. And they grew up together. She was a senior when she was a freshman in high school. His family owns the local vineyard. Her family owns a gardening business. Julian is a professor at Stanford, and he's taking a break to write a book. And we know that Hallie has always had a crush on Julian, but he doesn't really remember who she is. Somewhere along the line, love letters come into play. She writes him love letters, he finds them, something along those lines. My initial impression isn't that great. It's very stereotypical Tessa Bailey writing, which of course I am enjoying. I enjoy Tessa Bailey's writing in general. My first impressions of Julian aren't that great. The first thing he says is her ginormous breasts, and then he says that her breasts are talking to him rather than her. A hero is insistent on the heroine's physical appearance over and over again. That's not my favorite. And then we also have Hallie, who is pretty immature. She runs her family's gardening company. Her grandmother, who she was very close to, passed away a couple of months prior to the beginning of the story, and she's trying to help one of her grandmother's friends keep in business for a wine company when a wine tasting company, competing company, moves in right next door. So she has quite a bit going on, but she just feels very immature. She makes some really immature decisions. Her character isn't the most endearing, I guess. So overall, like, my initial impressions aren't that great, and we'll see. It's reading pretty quickly. Like I said, Tessa Bailey's writing I always enjoy, so we'll see. Probably not going to be my favorite, but those are just my initial thoughts. So we're going to get right back into it. So we are 14 hours and 1 minute in and which means I have 10 hours left. And I just finished Secretly Yours, and I liked this even less than Love on Your Brain, and I'm twice as disappointed about it. Got another 2 stars. There again wasn't really a lot that I liked about the story. I didn't like the characters. I felt zero chemistry between hero and the heroine. I felt that their relationship was incredibly lust centered. The hero for the first 200 pages didn't say a single thing about her that didn't have to do with her appearance, and I just didn't enjoy the story at all. I didn't know that this wasn't like everybody's favorite. I didn't know that this had pretty bad reviews in general, and like the general opinion was that it basically wasn't her best. But yeah, I'm going to move on to a book that I pretty much am going to guarantee that I'm gonna love, even if it's not a 5-star, and that is Something Spectacular. This is the second book in the Something Fabulous series, I believe is what it's called. The first one I gave 5 stars. I listened to the audiobook for it. It was fantastic. I don't think I'm gonna read that much tonight. Honestly, I'm kind of burnt out on reading. Just the last 2 reads have been not great. So I think I'm gonna watch some like Abbott Elementary, or I started watching True Blood, but I'm not loving it. So I'm probably gonna watch one of those and then pick up the next book tomorrow, because yeah, pretty disappointed in both those experiences.
There's valleys and mountain tops on this rocky road. All I'm asking now, don't give up on love. Don't give up. Don't give up on love. In sickness or health, for rich or for poor.
I had set my thing for 10 hours to do like a countdown, and it's gone. So I don't know how far we actually got in. I think it was like we were at like 8 hours and maybe 45 minutes ish left. I got 102 pages into Something Spectacular. This is about Peggy, who is in love with her best friend Belle. Her best friend Belle doesn't have feelings for her. She gets asked by Belle to help her fall in love with an opera singer. Peggy and Belle go to the opera. They meet the opera singer. The opera singer invites Peggy to their place, and they have sort of like this instant connection. I am really enjoying this. Alexis Hall's writing is very fun. Their writing is very different for historical romance. I remember the writing for the serious historical romance, this one, and also the first one in this series being one that I had to like take a little bit of time to get into because it's quite different. So it's taken me a bit to get into this, but I am liking it a lot. I think Belle's character is not my favorite. She wasn't my favorite in the original, in the first one. She's very selfish, and she kind of hurts the people around her because of it, obviously. And Peggy is so smitten with Belle that it's to their own detriment. A wee bit of insta love for sure, but I'm not mad about it. It's funny. Alexis Hall writes funny, witty dialogue, so I'm definitely going to be able to finish this within the 8 hours, and then I might just call it there. We'll see. I have read a lot and I'm a little bit tired of it. I ended up finishing Something Spectacular. I decided to give it 4 stars. I really liked it. I thought the romance was fantastic. I love the whimsy of the story. The reason it wasn't a 5-star is because the romance was very insta-lovey. I did end up picking the audiobook up for it. I don't have the exact time, but the audiobook had like 3 hours and 40 minutes or something like that. So we have a little under 5 hours left. So I think kind of a change to wrap up the end of the vlog. For the last like 5 hours, I'm gonna catch up on Lore Olympus. If you don't know, this is a Hades and Persephone story. It started as a webtoon and then it got published, but it's still on webtoon. free to read, and I believe it's like fully updated. So I'm going to start that. I have read up, I can't remember exactly how far I've read in it prior to, but I'm basically starting from the beginning. I read the first volume a couple, like sometime last year or the year before, and I'm going to read from the second volume, the episodes from the second volume. So I think it's like chapter or episode 40 or something like that. So we're just gonna start from there.
Every word that I told you before. All I'm asking now, don't give up on love. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up.
3 hours and 23 minutes left, but I think I'm just gonna wrap up the video here. Honestly, the rest of the 3 hours I'm probably just gonna spend reading Lore Olympus. I got through volume 2, and I'm not gonna pick anything else up until I feel like reading again. Lore Olympus is definitely very cute and I really like it. It's a Hades and Persephone retelling. Lore Olympus is basically like Greek gods and stuff like that. Central plot is a romance. It deals with some dark stuff, but it's absolutely gorgeous. The romance is very cute and it's like a good change up if I want to read something that's not traditional novel. So let's talk about the books that I finished, because I did end up finishing quite a bit in this 24 hours. So first up we have Happy Place, which was probably the highlight of this video. I gave this 5 stars, really good, excited to read more from the author. I DNF'd In It to Win It. I then finished Girl Gone Viral, which I gave 4 stars. Really liked it. I thought the romance was cute, but it just didn't have like that 5-star feeling, and I wish we had gotten like a teeny tiny bit more romance. We then have Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey, which I gave 2 stars. I was not a fan of this. It was a huge disappointment for me. I read Love on the Brain, another 2-star, huge disappointment. Well, mediocre disappointment. I don't have like the biggest expectations for Ali Hazelwood, but I was thinking that I might enjoy this just a little bit. Didn't really enjoy it at all. And then we read Something Spectacular, which I really enjoyed. The audiobook is a lot of fun. I really enjoy the romance. I think it's really cute. The characters feel very real, very strong. I like the touches of vulnerability on this. It was insta-love. Now my favorite romance, I like there to be like a little bit of more angst. There was the angst of her having feelings for someone that her best friend, who she's also in love with, wants to be in love with, but there wasn't actually like a lot of angst between the two of them. They were very much into each other immediately, like love at first sight situation. And then lastly, we read volume 2's worth of Lore Olympus, and I gave it 5 stars. So I really enjoyed the 24 hours of reading romance. It didn't get me quite as many good reads as I wanted. After those back-to-back 2 stars, I was just a little bit done. I'm probably gonna do this with like Kindle Unlimited romances. and see how that goes. So if you're interested in something like that, it's going to be a while until I do that, but I might do it sometime down the line. So if you're interested in something like that, let me know down below. Other than that, just let me know your thoughts on anything that I read. What's your favorite book that you've read recently? If you've read any of the books that I read in this video and you really like them, let me know. I'd love to talk down in the comments about romance in general. Don't forget to subscribe if you're looking for more content like this. I do book videos, but I also do just like day in my life, days in my life, weeks in my life vlogs where I talk about everything from mental health to books to animals, all of that, just take you along my life in general. All my socials are linked down below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in my next one.